Welcome to Black Nouveau. This is our edition for December 10th, 2014. I'm Joanne Williams. This week, we'll look back at the life and the art of Annie Lee. We'll discuss how the Salvation Army's holiday campaign helps the needy, and we'll profile musician Dr. Wallace Cheatham. We begin, though, with a social club that makes winter sports affordable for everybody. Liddy Collins has more.
My teacher taught me in half an hour, and I perfected this heel now, and I'm going down again. I mean, I love this place.
And this place is Cascade Mountain, located in Portage, Wisconsin. The Ebony Ice Ski Club from the Milwaukee area brought people here to learn and have fun outside. The ski club promotes winter sports, skiing, snowboarding, and hiking. The club functions all year round.
We actually started doing snow tubing. We do have a couple members who do cross-country skiing. In the summertime, we go do Saturday morning bike rides. We do camping. We meet at Jazz in the Park.
But skiing is their main love.
We live in Wisconsin. This is the perfect sport to do. I mean, we got the ski hills in our backyard. Why not be a tourist in your own backyard and love it all year round?
Sheila Payton started skiing 30 years ago with the black ski myth that is still prevalent today.
A former co-worker of mine suggested I come skiing with her one day, and I thought, black people don't ski. But she said it's a lot of fun. I was in my 20s at the time. She said, well, the parties are great, you should come. And once I realized that it was going to cost a little money to go, I said, well, I might as well learn how to ski. It keeps you in shape. You enjoy the outdoors. It gives you something to do in the winter, especially in a place like Milwaukee. I mean, you can either sit around and wait for the snow to go away, or you can do things that are enjoyable. And so it gives you an opportunity to get out, to enjoy the outdoors, to be with people that you like, and to just have a good time.
I saw you skiing. Are you new to it or not?
Yeah, this is my first time.
Are you kidding me?
This is
You
my
look
first
good.
time, and I'm having so much fun.
Why are you doing it?
Because my school, well, I go to Concordia, and the group I belong to, MSG, we came with the ski club. I just wanted to get the experience of it, just to try it. And I really like it, so I'm going to try it again.
You make it look so easy.
It's fun. It's scary when you're coming down real fast because I can't stop.
I'm really excited to see younger people doing this, because I think one of the things that keeps life interesting is expanding your horizons and thinking about things that you can do that are out of the box.
All right, you guys ready?
The ski club has a Learn to Ski program. Each year they have people from throughout the Milwaukee area participate in a 4-week program that teaches them how to ski. On this day, I was one of those people learning how. Being a newbie, I had to learn some things. Eunice Thomas, president of the Ebony Ice Ski Club, showed me how to pick a ski boot, how to put it on.
Right.
I had to learn how to walk in the boot.
It's like I'm leaning forward. Right.
Pick a helmet. Is that the way it's supposed to go?
Pop it. Okay.
Pick skis.
It's usually on your shoulder,
And learn how to carry them.
so you don't hit anybody in the head. Find a lot of our members and the Learn to Ski people by word of mouth and friends and family. Once they're in the skiing and they realize how much fun it is, it's like they found another niche.
Skiing can be expensive. Eunice gave suggestions on ways to cut down on the cost. And one way, bring your lunch.
If you need some ski pants or ski jacket, Goodwill, Value Village, secondhand stores always have abundantly of ski apparel. We all have hats, we all have gloves. We just need a nice pair of long johns and a long pair of wool socks.
and then on to the lessons.
See, we torture you for a little bit, then we give you something easy. To the right, throw the right foot, right edges. Good, stop where you're at, and you guys do this. What's that called? I call that the snowplow.
I can't tip. It's not tipping. Then, voila, me coming down a slope on skis. Even though I fell because I could not stop, it was fun, and the surroundings pretty.
It's pretty. And it's a high that you can't buy with anything else. You can't buy this high.
This high that's gotten from skiing down a hill keep people joining Ebony Ice Ski Club.
We actually have a lot of members who actually, they raise their kids and they, did what, the proper thing, get the kids out the house. Now they're back and they want to do something that they want to do in the winter, and they've actually came and learned how to ski with the club.
Dr. Wallace Cheatham is a familiar sight in Milwaukee's music community. He's been music director for a number of churches in the area, as well as for the new Jubilee Community Choir, which is seen here. But what you may not know is that he is an accomplished composer and music scholar whose works have been performed on 5 continents.
There are probably more people in England that know more about what I'm doing than there are here. I do a lot of writing. I do a lot of composition. And most recently, my first symphonic score, full symphony, that I composed in 1986, was just published. Symphony number 1. The symphony is my second full orchestral composition published by Jomar Press.
Here's a sample of his suite for sax soprano and organ. When did you know that music was going to be a very important part of your life?
Well, my mother put me on the piano when I was 8 years old. And she was my first piano teacher. But our relationship as teacher and student was very short-lived. And but I think I always knew that I would be doing something in music from that time. I never thought, though, by any stretch of the imagination, that I would have the kind of career that have been blessed to have, and certainly not the international kind of thing. I knew that I would be involved in my community.
That community was initially in Tennessee, where he attended Knoxville College.
I am a graduate class of 1967 of Knoxville College. It's one of the historic black colleges that was started by the Presbyterian Church. I had a very exciting 4 years at Knoxville College. My first international trip happened before my senior year. In the summer of 1966, I went to Kenya and spent 10 weeks there as a part of Operation Crossroads Africa. Operation Crossroads Africa is still going very strongly. And about 5 or 6 years ago, that organization celebrated its 50th anniversary, and that was held at Fifth Avenue Presbyterian Church in New York City. And I was honored to have been asked to be the organist for that service.
He has also received accolades from his college alma mater.
I have been honored twice by Knoxville College, once by the Alumni Association, outstanding graduate of national prominence, and then a couple of years ago, I was inducted into the College Hall of Fame.
After graduating from Knoxville College, he started his career teaching music in the public school system.
I taught in 3 systems. I taught for a year at home in Knoxville at a time when they were first beginning to racially integrate the schools. And I taught at a school, 2 schools, between 2 schools, where I was the only black teacher on the faculty, and there were no black students in either school. And the principal at one of them, she was not very kind to me. So I found myself getting out of there.
He came to Wisconsin, taught in Racine for a few years, and then moved to Milwaukee, where he taught for 30 years. But teaching music wasn't enough.
I knew that I could never be completely fulfilled as a musician just by teaching in the public schools. I knew that early on. I became interested in opera and the African American experience when I had the privilege to study with Robert McFerrin. Robert McFerrin, Bobby McFerrin's father, he was the first African American to become a regular member of the Metropolitan Opera Company. This was in 1955. His career, though, at the Met was really short-lived overall because there was really nowhere for him to go there as a black man, and that's something that hasn't changed that much to this day, 50-plus years later.
His book, Dialogues on Opera and the African American Experience, grew out of that research. It features interviews with 10 classically trained musicians who shared their stories of finding success in a music genre that traditionally treated their race with disdain, hostility, and skepticism.
I had a very difficult time finding a publisher for the book. And one of the university presses, I think I have the letter somewhere now buried under my pile, that they wouldn't publish it, wouldn't even consider publishing it, because opera was not itself, the genre of opera was not a part of black culture. And they went on to tell me that they would not consider even publishing such a book because they would never be able to market it. And now that book is being recognized by other publishers, and it is housed in libraries all over the world.
Recently, he wrote the foreword to Nigerian poet Matthew Umukoro's second book of poetry. He had written music to underscore some of the poems in Umukoro's first book.
Matthew Umukoro is really just a poetic genius, and his command of English is just tremendous. He is a professor at the University of Ibadan in Ibadan, Nigeria. We've never met, but I think he does too, that we have known each other all of our lives.
His devotion to music is matched only by his devotion to his family.
I have been married to the same pretty lady for 43 years. And we have 2 grown children. We now have 2 grandsons.
And his love of the Milwaukee area.
I have just stayed here, continued to work here, and found other ways to get out my work out, and that has worked fine for me.
That bell is a familiar sound of the Salvation Army's Red Kettle campaign. Joining us to talk about this year's campaign is Major Dan Jennings, Divisional Commander for Wisconsin and Upper Michigan. Welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
It's good to have you here. That's a big area, Wisconsin and Upper Michigan. Is there need in such a broad area?
There is. We have a Salvation Army presence in every county in Wisconsin, and also the portion of Upper Michigan that we cover. So that relates to about 67 what we call service units in the smaller counties, and then 26 what we call core that are in the larger cities in that area.
Now that would include Milwaukee. What kind of need do we see in 2014 in Milwaukee County?
Well, one of the biggest needs that we continue to see is the need for affordable housing. It's very difficult for folks to find some place to live, and homelessness continues to be on the rise as people lose their home for one reason or another. So it really tasks us in the area of long-term housing for folks, and also short-term housing when people suddenly find themselves in an emergency. So places like our emergency lodge have been absolutely full through 2013, and we anticipate that's going to be the case also through 2014 and 15.
Who becomes homeless?
Well, just about anybody. It's interesting as we look at the demographic of the people that are in our homeless shelter. It shocks us to see that the average person in the homeless shelter is a child. You think about a mom or a dad who brings 2 children with them, then the average really gets dropped. So more than half of the people that we serve during the year who are homeless are children that are with their parents, or are very, very young adults who now are out of the home of their parents, but they're not ready to take care of themselves completely. So they move from friend's house to friend's house until all those bridges are burned, and then they find themselves to us.
And how do they find the Salvation Army?
Well, through various agencies or from word of mouth. They'll stop by someplace and look for help, and people will refer them to us, or they just hear on the street that the Salvation Army is a place where you can go and find a place to sleep.
Is the message about what the Salvation Army does, is it widespread enough? Most people will think that you just do things at Christmas time with the red kettles.
Yeah, they think about a couple of things when you think about the Salvation Army. You think about donating your old clothes, and you think about the bells ringing at Christmas time. But those bells that ring at Christmas time generate the income that we need the rest of the year to serve the people who we serve. So we do a variety of things in this community. The shelter, which we talked about, runs every single day of the year. I think about all the meals that have to be served as people stay with us, and we don't have a single day that we're not full. We have a waiting list for people to get into the emergency lodge, and also the longer-term housing that we provide. We provide some supportive housing services, so people get out of the shelter. They move into their own apartment, but they still need a little help from the Salvation Army. So we stay connected, and we make sure that they get their rent paid, that they get their utilities paid, so they can keep their whatever little semblance of life they have. We make sure that they can keep that going.
Is homelessness on the rise?
It continues to be on the rise, and just you think about the difficult economic times we've had over the last 4 or 5 years have made it difficult for some folks, and some folks who were just marginally hanging in there suddenly and found themselves without a home. And some of the folks were homeowners, during the mortgage crisis. They lost their home. They suddenly had really bad credit because they lost their house, and they couldn't get into an apartment situation right away. So in that interim, while they're looking for something, somebody has to stand in the gap. And for many of those folks, it was the Salvation Army.
When I put $1 in the red kettle, or more, however much I put in the red kettle, what am I paying for? What does my dollar go to?
Well, it goes to many things. One of the things that we do is we feed people all across this area as well. We have food pantries strategically placed throughout the community where if somebody runs out of food, they can come to us and we give them a nice basket full of food to help them get by for a week or two until they can get back on their feet. It also pays for programs for children. We have developmental programs for children all throughout the community. And in fact, in one of the communities that we serve in the Milwaukee area, we're an extension of the school, both before and after school care. So when parents are working those extra hours to try to make ends meet, we provide care for the children before they go to school, and then when they get out of school until mom and dad are off work, we take care of them as well. Also, we do all the schooling in that area for the kids that are not quite old enough to go to school. So we provide some daycare and education as well for those pre-K children.
So the Salvation Army serves Milwaukee all year round. Thank you, Major Jennings, for coming and talking with us today and telling us about the mission of the Salvation Army.
Oh, thank you. It's my pleasure to come.
Painter and decorative artist Annie Lee died late last month. She was well known for her realistic and humorous portrayals of African American life. Here's a profile Black Nouveau did when she had her shop in the Chicago area.
Bill, these are some new stuff. Ooh. It was this one, I didn't like her name. I wanted Red Alert. Oh, it's okay. I had changed it to Power Surge and then Red Alert last, but I wanted Red Alert first. This is not the paper.
Meet Annie Lee, one of America's most successful African-American artists, as she proofs her new series entitled Hot Flashes in her gallery located in Glenwood, Illinois, south of Chicago. She calls her gallery Annie Lee and Friends.
Everybody that purchased my art from me is my friend. And without them, I couldn't have made it. I've drawn, painted all of my life. My brother and I, we would paint. And I won a little scholarship to the Art Institute from grammar school when I was 10. Yeah, that's one thing. And it's always been a hobby. I've always loved to paint and draw.
Her art captures the feel of the Black community, telling its everyday stories through art.
Did you understand this? In each little piece, I'm trying to give a message or trying to capture a moment, maybe. Like 8.5 year old lady standing at the bus stop. Pain went through her bunion right at that moment. That's the reason she dropped her pocketbook and everything. So I tried to get that moment. In Holy Ghost, when the lady got happy and shouted and her pocketbook flew away, I'm trying to capture that moment. Then again, I try to give a message of things that you might be familiar with, the women might be familiar with, like Spin Cycle. And she's in the laundromat with the babies and one swinging on the door, and it's just a hassle. The beauty shop, where the lady got burned on the ear. But I tried to show that moment when everything flew when she got burned. And my favorite period of time was the 20s. You probably can tell from the fashions in some of my paintings, like a Stage Door X at White Town, RSVP. I like that style.
The people in her paintings have no faces for a couple of reasons.
You can use your imagination. Like my painting Blue Monday, I'm sure most people felt like that on Monday morning. So you can put yourself in there, somebody you know. Number two is I try to let the movement of the character let you know what's going on in the painting. You know she just won, right? I mean, you don't have to see her face to know that. Okay.
Annie Lee's Blue Monday is a self-portrait. Her art reflects her experiences growing up on the south side of Chicago. She says she paints what she feels and knows.
And a lot of these are experiences that I've gone through, more or less. Most of my paintings, I think, are directed towards the average working woman, which is what I am, which is what I've been all of my adult life. So I paint what I know.
For Annie Lee, success was the enjoyment she got out of doing art. Her public success started back in the 70s.
Which she really is with that. I was on a bus trip to New Orleans, and I had a little portfolio, and a lady asked, who did those paintings? And I told her that I did. And she said, well, you need to call my boss because we're looking for African-American art. And it was one of those home show companies, and that was back in about 1978 or 79. He said, would you do me maybe 4 little figures paintings? And I did them, and he said, we're going to try to sell them in Wisconsin first and see how it goes. And I think I did 10 of each design, and they sold immediately. And the man came back and he said, do me 25 of each design. I had about 5 designs. And they sold immediately. He came back and said, do whatever you can do, and we'll buy it.
Annie Lee's work reflects the American Black experience, which many people have searched for. We also, though, have to educate the Black community to buy African American art, African American original art, as an investment.
It's just recently that we have been able to buy anything that's pertaining to us. That's the same way with the figurines that are selling so well. We haven't been producing the figurines, the African American figurines, and now the African American artists are. So they're selling really well because it's us. We do have to educate people about art, about African American art. They never had any to pick from before. This is all new, and as far as I'm concerned, everybody's doing good. I mean, it's getting better and better and better and better, and more people are buying and buying and buying and buying. Even right now, it's a lot of people that's not aware of art, and it's up to us to teach them and to explain. Okay. I was out of college before I even knew that it was any African American artist in the 1800s, and I have a degree in art. Do you know how many times I took art history? I've never, ever been taught anything about an African American artist. I didn't know anything about Archibald Motley or Tanner or any of them until after I got my degree.
You had to educate yourself.
About African American artists. Right now they're getting Romeo Bearden in there and Jacob Lawrence, but before that,
Before we close tonight, a reminder that Milwaukee Public Television is having a membership drive. If you value all the outstanding programs on MPTV, including, of course, Black Nouveau, consider supporting them by joining us. Become a member of MPTV. And that's our program for this week. For Black Nouveau, I'm Joanne Williams. Thanks for watching.